Elephants have a pretty dark history.
Inbreeding, artificial insemination attempts, the questionable past of doing whatever it takes to keep elephants at the Oregon Zoo. Now, elephants can be big business for zoos all across the country, not just here in Oregon. And that's true, though, for the Oregon Zoo. But at what cost to the elephants?
Our KOIN 6 investigator Carla Castaño is really taking a hard look at that what's being called a checkered past through the eyes of a former zoo worker, Carla.
Yeah, and that worker is Phil Pruitt. After 27 years on the job at the Oregon Zoo, Pruitt knows what he's talking about when it comes to handling elephants in captivity. It's tough work, and some zoos just aren't up to the task. So it's no wonder that since the 1990s, I found a dozen zoos across the country have closed their elephant exhibits, with another 3 planning to do the same. Those zoos that plan to stay open, like the Oregon Zoo, will always need elephants, and that takes breeding. Tonight in our KOIN 6 investigation, the price these animals have paid to keep the Oregon Zoo thriving.
The animals were not always treated with as much kindness as one could offer.
Phil Pruitt retired from the Oregon Zoo 3 years ago. He started as an elephant keeper.
Rose was God's most perfect elephant. I'm almost misty-eyed thinking about working with Rose.
He also worked as a rover, doing whatever he was needed to do with the zoo. Also as an Africa keeper and as a night keeper, moving the elephants and feeding them.
Well, I'm still getting chills about when on the night shift, the night keeper would come down, and on some occasions, in the wintertime, you would have 3 bulls in the back 4 rooms.
Pruitt says not all elephants are easy to handle.
Adult male elephants are a force of nature.
Animals, he tells me, the Oregon Zoo wants to desperately breed.
We're dedicated to growing our matriarchal herds.
I dug through documents detailing a history of artificial insemination efforts, inbreeding, and crossbreeding subspecies. According to this document from 2011, the Oregon Zoo had plans to breed Chendra and Tusco. While both are Asian elephants, I found out Chendra's a subspecies or taxon that's different than Tusco. The American Association of Zoos and Aquariums, which accredits zoos across the country, posted this article on their website in 2010. It clearly states the Bornean elephant is a separate taxon. The AZA also calls Borneos like Chendra the world's most endangered elephant. Despite that information, they still recommend they breed every 4 years, as this 2011 Oregon Zoo document reveals.
Tusco is a huge animal in every respect, including his manhood. And I think it verges on animal abuse to put such a large male in with such a small female.
The Oregon Zoo touts Chendra as the only Borneo pygmy elephant living in the U.S. Their website lists Tusco at 13,300 pounds. They also describe Chendra as just over 4,500 pounds. There's nearly a 9,000-pound difference. That's more than how much Tusco's other breeding partner, Rose 2, weighs. I tried to get answers from the Oregon Zoo and AZA, but neither responded to my emails. I contacted Dr. Robert Hilsenroth, the executive director of the American Association of Veterinarians, who tells me breeding Chendra and Tusco is a bad idea.
It would be detrimental, and it wouldn't contribute to the sustainability of our elephant population.
The AZA keeps a list of all the 750 or so elephants ever known in the U.S. and parts of Canada. It's called a stud book, and after several hours reviewing it, I found a pattern of inbreeding at the Oregon Zoo. It was some 30 years ago, and most of the offspring died shortly after birth.
There is a much higher risk of genetic defects. And some of these are fatal defects. Some of them they can live with. Some of them are just cosmetic.
Each elephant in the stud book is given a number. Then there are a set of 2 other numbers in the center of each listing. You can cross-reference those digits back to the parents and trace the elephant's lineage. It's a little like cracking a code. ZooWatch, a nonprofit animal group, says it's meant to be that way.
I don't think they want the average person, and particularly not an investigative reporter, to be able to easily digest the information. That it's something that the industry themselves like to be able to interpret for you.
The stud book reveals an incestuous family tree at the Oregon Zoo. 5 births over 5 years from inbreeding, daughter with father and brother with sister. Thong Law was bred with both his daughters, Me Too and Hanako. Both of the offspring males born in 1973. One was unnamed and died immediately. The other was called Stretch. I couldn't track him. It only lists a transfer to Florida. I checked zoos and circuses all over with no luck. The official word from the Oregon Zoo spokesman, I have no information on Stretch.
Names change.
Yeah.
For one reason or another.
Pruitt started after the inbreeding stopped. He told me those inside the Oregon Zoo elephant circle knew about it.
They just kind of inwardly, in-house admitted that it's a bad idea. Yeah. But we don't do that anymore.
I also discovered Packy was inbred with his sister Hanako, resulting in the 1976 birth of an unnamed calf who died less than a month later. Then again in 1978, a female calf named Sumek was born but died just a month later. The zoo was successful in its inbreeding efforts with Packy and his other sister, Me Too. Kun Chorn was born in 1978 and transferred to Dickerson Park Zoo a couple months before turning 2. He is still alive. The Oregon Zoo would not agree to an interview specifically on the subject of inbreeding, but sent an email which reads in part, "Inbreeding is not something that would be likely to happen in the wild, nor is it something that would happen at the zoo today." Pruitt tells me the zoo was determined to try to grow the elephant herd the entire time he worked there. Did artificial insemination ever take place at the Oregon Zoo?
Yes, but no conception ever took place.
The zoo spokesman sent an email response saying they don't have much information on artificial insemination attempts, adding, to be clear, this is not to say the zoo is opposed to AI, just that it hasn't been attempted here for many years.
Not currently, perhaps, but it was the Holy Grail.
According to the AZA's species survival plan given to the Oregon Zoo, it appears artificial insemination will start up again. The chart lists Tusco as available as AI donor. For Samundra, it says to train for AI once age appropriate. I pushed the zoo for more answers about their artificial insemination efforts. They added, on the recommendation of AZA's species survival plan, some of Tusco's semen was sent to other zoos, and semen from all the males has been collected to assist in research projects.
I was involved in some of that semen collection. And
Pruitt tells me it's a graphic process that's not easy on the elephants.
You would stimulate him electrically.
Medical records for Packy from 1999 reveal repeated attempts to collect semen from him, many unsuccessful, as he suffers from an ulcer on his head and several foot problems, including lesions. At one point, the staff even tried to take a collection when Packy was, quote, unwilling to move. This, as the zoo tells me, all 28 of the births there have been natural, including the 5 from inbreeding. After almost 3 decades at the Oregon Zoo, Pruitt says he realized there's a big problem with keeping elephants in captivity, even with the new exhibit upgrades. Did it seem like they were suffering?
God, yeah.
So, why do zoos keep pushing so hard to breed elephants? Well, according to the AZA, zoo populations of both Asian and African elephant species are not currently viable without importation.
What does that mean? Well, without taking elephants from the wild, zoos will eventually run out of elephants. Carla's investigation into the elephants at the Oregon Zoo continues next Tuesday at 6. She looks into why the zoo continues using bull hooks on the animals after being cited by federal authorities for abusing one of those elephants. with a bullhook.